What do you not want to say to private lenders? Like, stay away from these things. I encourage you to do some research with the SEC, but don't use words like it's safe, because it's not safe, right? Like it's real estate. Anything could happen. The house could burn down and your insurance policy lapse and you have no money in the bank, right? Like, how safe is that? It's not. That it's guaranteed. My friends, nothing in this life is guaranteed except death and taxes. Like, that's about it. So don't use those words. I see investors pitching deals like, oh, this is safe, guaranteed, no risk. No risk. I should have put that as a bullet point. There is risk. Like, no, like, we disclose and we say, this is not safe. Like, this is not guaranteed. There's a lot of risk here. Be careful. Do your research before you even think about investing with us. You know why we do that? For CYA, to cover our rears in case anything happens. Our lenders have to sign something and say, I read all this stuff and Brant told me there's a lot of risk here. So they want to go call the SEC, then they're going to say, well, Brant told you about all that stuff, right? And they're like, yeah, I did. Then okay. So we're not making big public offerings. We're not pitches. We are not registered with the SEC to go out and do all this advertising and stuff. That's what we do not do that online. We educate online. We do not go out and do public advertising and make public offerings. We focus on educating and helping lenders, and magic starts to happen, my friends, when you educate and help people. So be truthful, be transparent, disclose the risk. Do not end up in trouble with the SEC. That, assuming I've never dealt with them, probably not a fun place to be. I did hire an attorney when I first got started in this, before our website went up, all that kind of stuff, like, can I do this stuff? And this is what I'm thinking about doing. They said, yep, you can do that, do that, do that. Don't do these things, which is pretty much what I told you, and you got all this for free and you have to pay an attorney. And they blessed it, so we've been off and running. All right, non-negotiables. These are things that you need to provide every time. If you're really in this with good intentions and in this for the long run, I'm going to blow through this one. Always close at a title company. Always use an attorney, like a real estate attorney. Always get title insurance. We include a mortgagee's title policy, which further insures our lender's loan on the property. We always provide a survey, make sure that proper insurance is in place prior to closing. That may seem like, oh yeah, why wouldn't I have insurance? Well, like, just do it and make sure, because your investors don't think about it. And guess what? The title company, if it's not a bank, if it's not a lender requirement like a bank loan, they're not asking your lender, for insurance. They might if you have a good relationship with your attorney, but you're not going to close on a deal without insurance. And this could slide through the cracks, and it does happen with other not so professional investors. Never receive checks or cash directly from your lenders and partners. Like, I've had them say, hey, you want to just send you the money or whatever? No, we're closing at a title company. It's above board. Everything's going to be signed, the deeds can be recorded. We're doing this above board. All right, so here we go. I know a lot of you think that private lending is just for financing long-term rental properties. So it's just for short-term flip properties. And so how can you use private lenders to finance long-term rental properties? Well, my friends, it all comes down to your lender's investing goals. If they have long-term investing goals with, lower interest rates that are going to meet or exceed those goals, and there's plenty of them out there, and your ability to have a conversation about a literary classic. What may that be? Anyone want to take a guess? Anyone want to post in the comments what the literary classic may be? I'll give you a couple minutes if you want, although like we're coming in an hour on this thing. So here we go. The Tortoise and the Hare. So my friends, your understanding about what we do and about a basic understanding about numbers is going to get you very, very far in this business. I trust you. I have a conversation about one of Aesop's fables quite frequently with my lenders, and it revolves around the tortoise and the hare, because you see there's a certain segment of lenders out there that they've maybe gone online or they went to some events and they've heard that they can earn 12% interest on their loans, and maybe they can collect a point or two or three. And they absolutely can. All right, they can. I'm a private lender. I loan money for those in the Houston area looking to borrow money. Send me a message. I might loan to you. I'm loaning at 12% and 2 or 3 points, and that's possible. But there's a saying that I like to use, and it goes like this: you can tell the experience of the investor by what they pay for their money. You can tell the experience of the investor or the borrower by what they pay for their money. So typically the investors that are paying 12, 14% and paying 2 or 3 points are less experienced. It doesn't mean that you don't loan to them. It just means like they're going to pay a little bit more. But so what I talked to my lenders about is if you're looking to invest at 12% or 14%, you're just like a part-time investor, then there's a good chance that your capital is going to be sitting on the sidelines for long periods of time unless you have adequate deal flow of borrowers, and I hope y'all are following me. So the way I explain this is through a conversation. I already knew the gentleman and we bumped into each other at a networking event. And he said, "Hey, Brant," he's like, when can I invest with you?" And I was like, "Hey, buddy, we're buying houses every month, so you tell me." He's like, "Well, I usually get about 12% and a point or two for my money, so just let me know when you're ready to go." And I was like, "Man, that's pretty good. If you're getting 12% and a point or two, I think you should just keep doing that because we're not paying that much for our capital, in today's market." And he's like, "Well, let me know, I'm like, "All right, I will." So we bumped into each other a few months later. He's like, when can I do a deal with you? I've just got this money sitting. And I said, "Well, we're buying houses every month, so you let me know when you're ready to go." He's like, "Well, I can usually get 10 or 12%. And I'm like, "That's pretty good. You should probably, if you can do that, I'd go ahead and do that if I were you, if you can get that deal and you feel good about the borrower." And he's like, "Yeah, the money's been sitting and I've done some with so-and-so, but it's kind of had a bad experience with him, a couple of things, like it all worked out good, but there was some trust issues there." I'm like, "Well, I understand." I was like, "I understand that, but right now we've got a pretty good surplus of 8% money, but if you want to loan at 8%, just let me know." He's like, "Well, I can get 10 or 12." And I'm like, "All right, well, good luck. We'll talk to you later." So can't even make this up. So 3 months later, we're at an event. He's a pretty active networker, and I'm active, of course, myself. And he's like, when are we going to do a deal together?" And he's following me, like literally the way this goes down. It's going to be a little graphic. I'm going to let y'all know it's a little graphic. So he's following me down the hall because I got to go to the men's room. He's like, "I got to go too." So we go to the men's room. And he's asking me, "When can I invest?" Blah, blah, blah. We're now like doing our business next to each other. Like I'm here, he's here, doing our business. And he's talking to me, right? And he's like, when can I invest with you, Brant? And I'm like, "You tell me." And he's like, "Well, I can get 10 or 12%. And I look at him like in the middle, and I'm like, "Can you? Because you've been telling me this for about 9 months now." I'm like, "So either you can and you're going to, or you just can't. So I'll invest your money next week at 8%, but that's it." And he said, "Damn it, Brant, you're right." He said, "You're right." And he's like, "Let me know what I need to do." And so this has been years ago, and he's been investing with us ever since at 8%. And so I don't always tell the story like that, but it is really important. What I really turn the tortoise and the hare conversation into is a business conversation with my lenders when they come in looking at 12%. And I just ask them some business questions, like, let's let the spreadsheet do the talking. So if our investors are loaning at 12%, those are typically on very short-term deals, right? Like flip properties, which we let them know are typically higher risk depending who you're investing with and what price point, things like that. But so there's maybe a higher risk associated to it. There's probably a higher risk with a less experienced investor who's willing to pay that versus our rental properties that are rehabbed really quickly and usually a lot less rehab than a flip. And they're occupied, which my pet peeve is vacant houses, right? So these are occupied, cash producing, assets really quickly. And I tell them to bust out a spreadsheet. I'm like, look at what your money's going to be doing, steadily pumping. Sometimes I'll use the description like an oil well, like it's sitting there just like pumping every single month, versus your 12% that pumps for a little bit and then it dries up and it comes back to you, and then you got to what? Find another borrower, find another deal, do due diligence. Do you trust this person? Go through that, which is a lot of work, versus having it steady pumping at 8%.